Have you ever watched someone lose their child by trying to relive their youth through them? My wife wore her old varsity jacket to every practice, squeezing into this thing that hadn't fit in 20 years. This one's gonna finish what I started, she'd tell other parents, while gripping our daughter's shoulder until she winced. Our daughter had been doing cheer since she was 6, and my wife controlled every aspect of it. When I asked about practice, she'd wave me off like I couldn't possibly understand. I started noticing our daughter lowering herself into chairs carefully, holding her breath when she bent over. My wife said I was babying her, that real athletes push through soreness. Meanwhile, our college fund disappeared into elite camps while our daughter kept shrinking, living in huge hoodies even in summer. My wife was actually proud when you could count her ribs through her uniform, bragging about perfect flyer weight. When I suggested maybe trying something that wouldn't destroy her body, my wife laughed in my face. She said we'd invested too much to quit now. Junior year was when I started documenting everything because I knew nobody would believe me. Our daughter would sit in her car after school for 20 minutes, and I'd watch from the window as she'd take these deep breaths like she was preparing for battle before coming inside. One night she was waiting at the kitchen table, something she never did anymore. She told me her mom said I wanted her to quit. My wife walked in before I could answer, immediately cutting me off. She said I didn't understand what being elite meant. She said it with this smile, like we were playing some game only she knew the rules to. Our daughter just stared at her plate, defeated. I stayed because I thought at least if I was there, I could protect her somehow. The morning of homecoming, I found our daughter in the kitchen at 5 a.m., gripping the counter so hard her knuckles were white. Her whole body was shaking. She tried to tell her mom something was really wrong, but my wife didn't even look up from her phone. Just handed her 4 ibuprofen like she was passing salt. Said scouts would be there. 3 years of prep. Our daughter looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw she was drowning. In the car, she grabbed my hand. "Please don't make me," she whispered. And I felt like the worst father alive because I didn't just drive away right then. At the game, watching her up on that pyramid, I could see her back spasming from the stands. Then it happened. Her body locked up completely, and she fell 8 feet. The crack echoed. My wife stood up cheering. "Get up, baby. Walk it off." That's when I knew. She knew. She'd always known. The MRI lit up like a Christmas tree. 3 compression fractures, months old. The doctor's hand actually shook as he pointed them out. He asked how long she'd been in pain. I couldn't answer because I was doing math in my head, remembering every time she'd winced, every practice she'd begged to skip. He pulled me into the hallway, closed the door, said this was criminal medical neglect. One wrong landing, and she'd be paralyzed. Back in the room, my wife had her phone out, fingers flying across the screen, talking about 6 weeks recovery, a great PT downtown, spring season. Our daughter's voice cut through the room with a simple no. She was done with cheer forever. My wife's head snapped up, her mouth actually falling open. She started saying every athlete gets injured, but our daughter cut her off. My wife blinked, looked at me for backup, but I was already moving to stand beside our daughter's bed. That's when our daughter grabbed my hand and the words just poured out. "Dad, she told me you'd blame yourself if I quit. Said you'd think you failed as a father for letting me start cheer. I've been hiding the pain for 2 years because I didn't want to disappoint either of you." My wife's face went white. She tried to say she never meant it that way. I asked if she knew. She actually stepped back, said our daughter needed to learn to push through. I told her our daughter was 16, not her second chance. My voice was calm, which seemed to scare her more than yelling would have. At the courthouse, my wife wore a new outfit, had her hair done, kept touching our daughter's shoulder until the judge told her to stop. She whispered during recess that she'd changed. Maybe they could try recreational cheer. Our daughter stood up, looked her straight in the eyes. "I'm done being your second chance at nationals." My wife's hands dropped to her sides. For the first time in 20 years, she had nothing to say. The divorce went through quickly. I got full custody, and our daughter refused all supervised visits. My ex-wife's sister told me she spent every Friday alone watching old competition videos, still wearing that jacket. Last week at the grocery store, we saw her holding that protein cereal she used to force on our daughter. When she walked toward us, our daughter grabbed my arm and we left immediately. I looked back once. She stood there in that old jacket, holding that cereal, watching us leave. Still not understanding she didn't lose her daughter at homecoming. She lost her the day she decided her daughter's body was worth less than a trophy.